Hey everyone, I am live at Ford Field following the Green Bay Packers 37-30 loss to the Detroit Lions. With me, as always, in our post-game extravaganza is Mr. LeRoy Butler, who is not in Detroit and is in places unknown. So
Right.
this was, I'm going to continue to call it, a meaningless game, but there is, I guess it's not meaningless if there is a little bit of meaning to it and if there's something you can get out of it. What did you get out of this game?
Well, I tell you what, it's disappointing because a meaningless game to me, none of your starters would have played. But just LaFleur said he's going to play his starters, so you expect to win the game. So it's very disappointing to give up 37 points at Detroit, a team that doesn't have a lot of talent. I mean, it's kind of disturbing. But I had heartburn as soon as I knew 59 wasn't playing. Once Campbell isn't playing, I'm like, oh boy, and it just I just like when he plays. So put that to the side. But I mean, I know a lot of people going to a lightning rod want to talk about Jordan Love, but I want to talk about the defense first, Tom. I mean, now let's go back. First, when I saw Bakhtiari and Myers out there, I was happy. I was happy that they did get a chance to play. But defensively, it just seemed like some of the bad habits are starting to come back as far as tackling. The two trick plays. I mean, you're talking about a team that won 2 games. They're gonna try anything. I mean, they went for it on a fake punt on their own like 28-yard line or something like that. So you knew they were gonna do gimmicky type stuff, but it seemed to catch the Packers by surprise. So I mean, if you're gonna now, I would feel different had you sat most of your starters and some of your backups would have played. But I still thought if you did that, you still could have beat the Detroit Lions. So I don't know if this is the best way to go into the playoffs, but it's it's something I can't wait to exit. Choose some of these plays, and again, some of these plays may not even come up in a couple weeks. But this is a copycat league, and teams look for they look for things to use against you. So it remains to be seen. But overall, very, very disappointed.
Yeah, so a very interesting scene after the game in Matt LaFleur's press conference. And he was definitely upset by mostly about the defense, but some of the offense as well. And he pretty much preached the line that Bill Belichick always says, which is do your job, know
Yeah,
your assignment, do your job. And
right.
he said too many guys were going for big plays, we're over pursuing, we're trying to do
Yeah.
things that they don't normally do. And I think that that is natural in a game where you don't need it to win. I think that's always a danger. And
Mm.
I asked Aaron Rodgers about it, and he said, they weren't very emotionally up for this game, that he could tell in practice guys weren't, together. That said, I think LaFleur can use this to show how bad things can get in a single elimination game. One mistake, one guy biting up, like they did on both of the trick plays,
Place. Yeah.
or a guy blowing the assignment on Amon-Ra St. Brown's crossing route that set them up for the game-winning touchdown. All those kind of things are nice to have. And LaFleur, he so press conference went kind of short, and the PR guy said, all right, 2 more questions. And LaFleur said, no, I'm staying longer. He wanted to he wanted to stand up there and talk about how disappointed he was in losing the game and how seriously he took it. So I thought that was kind of interesting.
Yeah, it was. I mean, because up until a couple weeks ago, you thought even the Cleveland game. I mean, they got 4 picks and 5 sacks, but they still give up a lot of yards on the ground. and even the Minnesota game was seen to be a struggle at times. But I mean, again, without uh, Campbell out there, things just get kind of out of hand. Now you're dealing with 42 and 51 as your inside linebackers.
Yeah.
They don't play a lot of snaps together, but if you double Kenny Clark and cut off other guys, you're gonna have some issues. Now, Dean Lyra had one of his best games, but it probably won't go. It won't be in the headline. But you got to stop people for the most part, and then we always talked about the defensive backs playing off a little bit soft. You know, St. Brown was able to run these underneath routes, and they were running. I mean, pick plays and things of this nature. It seemed like it was just like it was a preseason game, you know. And that's the thing about it. If guys feel like they're not going into it, why play? I mean, that's why I was advocating for the starters not to even play in this game because I don't know what they got out of that game. I mean, some records, yeah, but I don't know what they. I mean, this doesn't guarantee they won't be rusty in 2 weeks. I
Right.
mean, so I would have took that opportunity to sit these guys, you know, Devontae, Aaron Rodgers. I mean, if you want to get Bakhtiari out there, fine, but I'd have sat most of those guys. When Aaron Jones didn't play, I said, well, he's probably banged up. So that's fine. So he got it. Aaron Jones to get extra rest. I got a chance to look at Patrick Taylor, who I'm a big fan of. Uh, so, but again, you know, if you think about LaFleur, winning a lot of games, as we talked about beating Seaford, and then you'll be on your resume that you lost to Detroit. I mean, that's just not, Now if you go on to win the Super Bowl, fine. But
Yeah.
it's still the regular season losing to a team that won 3 games. And you had a lot of starters out there in the fourth. Savage was still out there playing. Amos was still out there playing. It
Yeah.
was some of your starters played a long time. I mean, so it is what it is.
Second
I
half, they
king on special teams.
Yeah, second half they subbed out a lot of guys on defense. They would bring them back on third down, Preston Smith,
Yeah,
Rashawn
yeah,
Gary,
yeah.
Kenny Clark, but they had a lot of young guys. I think your point about Campbell is the play caller. He's the guy who sets the defense up. He's the guy who pretty much handles everything in the middle, and that was a problem.
Yes.
So they definitely missed him. He'll be ready. He was only held out because they didn't want his injury to get worse.
Right,
He could
right.
have played if it was a playoff game. Um, I think what I think this game only matters if they didn't learn anything from it. If they don't learn anything from it, then it's a disaster. If they realize, okay, we can't play like that in the playoffs, then maybe it's not such a bad thing. Um, I will say this offensively, the whole thing was geared towards getting Bakhtiari and Myers back.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, they passed 15 of the first 18 plays, I
I
think.
saw that.
And I asked Rogers about that, and he said, "Yeah, we're just trying to get Dave and his kick step going, and Myers and the snaps, and so there was a lot of things that they did get out of the game."
Yeah, and I think that's important because they're throwing offense. I mean, Aaron, like you said, Aaron, 14 for 18, 2 touchdowns, but he got sacked 3 times holding on to the ball, trying to, get guys open. He had to scramble a couple of times. I was glad that he slide, but it was risky, but I just don't know what they got out of this game. I mean, it just seemed like to me, giving up 37 points, that's a lot of points. So
Mm-hmm.
that was one of our questions from Vincent. The trick plays and stuff like that. I mean, it scares you going. Depends on who you play, but the defense got to show some improvement. And I thought AJ Dillon ran hard. Tom, this guy ran hard. I mean, he really punished some of the secondary guys in Detroit. So that was good to know that. But all in all, I mean, if the offensive line can be healthy, but not having MVS, so it was Alan Lazard had to step up and make some great plays. And again, Josiah DeGuara, man, that 65-yard play, that was tremendous play from Jordan Love to him, that screen play. And I'm just so happy for him because I just remember people were just all over him about, little things. And that's that's what happens. Remember back in the day when Aaron and the offense would go ahead and then the defense would give it back up. I mean, it's still defense winning championships. And right now, Joe Barry's probably thinking, okay, we got that over with. We won't even watch this tape. We'll sit back and find out who we play. And
Oh, they better watch it. They better watch it. They got to clean that stuff up. Holy cow! They got to figure out what guys were doing. That's crazy. But there were a couple of things. MVS did get hurt. He hurt his back.
Yeah.
No idea how serious that is. But it did open the door for Lazard, and Lazard has been the guy the last 3 or 4 weeks. MVS had that big game in Baltimore, and then since then it's been all Lazard. So really that's kind of an interesting development.
Yeah, because he's gonna have to. He's gonna get the one-on-ones. He's gonna be open at times. I mean, one time they left him wide open in the middle with Devontae commanding so much attention, but he has to catch it consistently. I mean, if he can catch it consistently, he'll be fine. But they're gonna have to develop another person. I mean, either St. Brown or Amari Rodgers, who's not having the greatest of years. They're gonna have these guys because you're third and fourth receiver, if you go 3 or 4 wides, they gotta complement each other because you're gonna be wide open because you're gonna double Devontae, even roll the coverage towards Lazard, the backside, you're gonna be wide open. You got to make something happen there, and that's the only thing about it is, do you think that the Packers are gonna be a throwing team, or are you gonna be this? I mean, this team that was running because you have a two-headed monster at running back. Do you run
3?
The football? Yeah. Well, yeah.
3 I mean, now.
Stay healthy. Because you can't put your defense back out there scoring quickly. Because I don't know if the defense in that position to just get into a shootout. Because you just lost a shootout really to Detroit.
Right. I agree with that. I think that they're going to have to be smart about how they run their offense and mix it up. And, I thought what allowed them to kind of get back in the game in the second half was Patrick Taylor. And then that opened a few things for Jordan Love to hit. What did you think about his performance overall?
I thought he was okay. I like when they move him out of the pocket. He missed some throws. I think he had that. It was a great throw to 84. I think Davis, the guy, dropped it. I mean, that's a touchdown. I mean, it just seemed like to me the 2-point conversion showed some athletic ability, but you got to stand in the pocket and deliver these throws. I mean, the one he had St. Brown breaking open on the other side of the third. He's going to learn to lead him away to that other side, and that'll be a touchdown. Now, the interception, you got a guy coming right in his face. You can barely see it, but I think he's going to be okay. I mean, most quarterbacks don't get a lot of reps, but he's been getting all the reps in practice. But I think it's too soon yet to find out what you have in Jordan Love. I mean, because really he didn't start the game. This loss will probably go on Aaron Rodgers' resume, not his. So he only got one start under his belt other than preseason. So it depends on – because I don't think they're scouting Jordan Love now to know what they'll do with Aaron Rodgers next year. I think they're going to wait till next year to deal with it. And but I think for the most part, knowing the offense, knowing what to do, he's going to learn that. I mean, most quarterbacks take 2 to 3 years to even find out kind of what's going on. You remember Aaron said 3 years in this first year starting. The Packers, I think, was 6-10, and then so on and so on. So, I mean, but I don't want fans to just see a Hall of Famer play than a guy that hasn't played. You can't really compare the two. I mean,
I think
it's almost impossible to do that.
And I think the offense would be different if Jordan Love was the quarterback. I think there would be Jordan Love's strength is throwing down the middle of the field. You saw the one he popped to Equanimeous St. Brown. I think that's the one you were talking about, right? He hit Equanimeous St. Brown, right? That could have been a bigger game, but you could see him just wind up and make that throw. When he's out, to me, when he gets outside, he has trouble with accuracy and touch, and maybe that's just something that he's got to develop over time. Overall, I mean, I don't think you can make any final assessment over that performance, can you, on him?
Well, No, absolutely not. Because he would have been. It's good to see is when you can get a quarterback in 2 minute situations to see
Hmm.
if he can go down and win the game. Then he was put in that position, go down, and they go up, and then eventually, you know, that you hit the screen pass Josiah DeGuara, then they come down and score. Hopefully your defense will stop them and you get the ball back and you can just hand it off. But no, the defense was like, Swiss cheese. So they went all the way down and scored. Now you got, one timeout. Luckily, the guy didn't run out of bounds. Well, he did run out of bounds. Now you got one timeout, 48 seconds. All quarterbacks visualize having one timeout backed up to go to win the game. So he's going to be put in that position a lot in the future. So he'll kind of know what plays he likes to run. How do you do your hurry up and things of that nature? But one thing you cannot do, you cannot turn the ball over. You got to run your stuff, can't turn the ball over. And then you got to understand, just the objectivity of the game, like what's going on, what am I surrounded, what personnel I like in the game, and things of that nature. It take a long time to learn that. But again, it's going to be up to LaFleur and Hackett if Hackett's still here because he'll get some mentions to be head coaches other places. But they have to develop him the same way you develop any quarterback. It takes 2 to 3 years for the guys to really develop. So if they stick with him, I think they have a pretty good quarterback. But I don't think, as of right now, the good news is you won't see Jordan Love till next year. It's about moving on to a Super Bowl. Tom, this is one thing I used to say all the time. How do our coaches get us out of the last game and get us into playoff mode? Players do that themselves. But we didn't have social media to remind us how bad we play. It was just the print media. So we can just move on. But some of these guys, they'll probably go to their social media and read all the comments, and it's hard to get past it to know in a couple weeks you got to get ready to play again. You're the number one overall seed, in the NFL pretty much, or in the NFC, and you in Tennessee, I mean, that's you guys earned it. So now you got to play like it and practice like it and just stay healthy as far as COVID is concerned and as far as staying healthy with injuries, mental health, all of that goes into it. It's a different season now. Everything starts over. It's a reset. You got to get to it because for the last few years you've been won 13 games, but you haven't done anything with it. You got to get to the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think in the end, there's something weird about weeks 17. Well, what used to be week 17 and week
Yeah.
18. And you used to see all these teams, they don't want to go out on a bad, they've had horrible seasons. I mean, you saw the Texans came
Yeah.
within 4 points of Tennessee.
Yeah.
Minnesota, which looked dead, got Cousins back and played really well. So
Right.
I think Detroit put its heart on the line in this game, and you can't forget that. That's not an excuse for how the Packers played. They still should have won. But I think in the end, this game probably did help prepare them for the playoffs. It was a team that was really fired up. You have to be here to be kind of understand how Detroit was playing the game. So
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's just so disappointing because you look at teams like the Colts, who all they gotta do is beat Jacksonville, they get into the playoffs, and they get beat, but they get beat by 15 points. I mean, how do you explain that? I mean, even like team like Pittsburgh or the Ravens, you go into the game thinking, well, they're gonna beat them, so we're not gonna play our best, but you never know. And next thing you know, things happen and you're still alive and you gotta wait. I mean, that's the thing about the week 17 and 18, these divisional games, it go down to, I mean, almost down to the wire. And it's gonna probably go all the way down to tonight because it's gonna be a lot of coaches lose their jobs. I think Vic from the Broncos already lost his job. So these teams are starting to say, we can't make it to the playoff where they expanded. Remember, expanded playoffs. We can make the top 7. We got to make a change somewhere because you would think winning 9 games gets you in the playoffs, but you got to figure out where do we go wrong. We got to win that one game that'll push us over the top. The Packers never had to do that. They were winning, and that's what people was ripping Troy Aikman about. Troy Aikman was saying that he saw all these top teams, all of them have flaws. There's no dominant team. And when he said the Dallas Cowboys, everybody just started ripping him. And I bet you he's saying, see, that's what I'm telling you. You can be a great team, number one throughout, but then you can go and lose to Detroit. That's how this season is going.
Mm-hmm.
So it's wide open for everybody. And you almost have to push a reset if you're the Packers to say, we got to clean up some of this stuff that's just put on film.
Okay. All right. So we'll be back for X's and O's and 5 questions on Tuesday. You got some people you want to thank before we head out?
Pickandsave.com. Of course, you can get my Elite Vodka there, award-winning vodka. You can also get my brats there as well. We still sell them throughout the winter. So I just appreciate everything Pick and Save has done. I also want to thank Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shields of Milwaukee because they've been helping me do a lot of my vaccination events. And now we're in a process. I'm in the process now of buying some tests for schools. Some of the schools I work with, we're trying to get a bunch of tests for the schools so the kids get sick. We can test them with their parents' authorization so they don't have to miss school just to know that they're sick and they don't have COVID. So we're working on that. So I thank Anthem for that. And again, I also want to thank my guy, Charlie Barons. And you can go to Charlie Barons on Instagram. We did some stuff. I taught him how to do the leap and all that kind of stuff. But his book is still on sale. And you can pick this book up anywhere you buy books. So for the most part, I appreciate that. And I want to thank the fans as well. The fans have been fantastic. Thank you so much for you guys supporting me and Tom every week.
All right. Ditto for that. So we will see you on Tuesday. Don't forget to check JS Online and PackersNews.com for all the coverage from this game. We'll have a podcast that'll be posting tonight. And all the coverage during the bye week. They're still going to be practicing. So we'll be there to cover it all. All right. From Ford Field and wherever the heck you are, see you next time, everybody.
Go Pack.